Everyone, and thank you for coming here in this inclement weather. The Rochester Police Department once again mishandled an incident involving a child. In an assessment of this incident involving a distressed 9-year-old, representatives of the RPD acted inappropriately when they apprehended, handcuffed, and then pepper sprayed this child who really needed a mental health intervention. The incident for me and for the community should raise many concerns. Rochester police officers should not have engaged this child as though she was a criminal. There was a gross failure in system delivery. Deputy Police Chief Andre Anderson described the young girl as suicidal. Therefore, what she was in need of was not the police who made the situation worse, but mental health and social work intervention and care. Again, where was the person in crisis team or the Monroe County forensic intervention team? Also, the racial implications are clear. Would RPD have acted in such a way if the child was white? The other concern is that the incident emphasizes the real mandated need for comprehensive de-escalation and anti-racism education and training. It also shows the necessity of discarding the police warrior culture, training, and mentality. And it is paramount that police must be trained to be servant protectors of the community. In this incident, the failure is clear, and what needs to be fixed is even clearer. The officer who became frustrated and stated, "Just spray her," obviously demonstrates the inhumanity of some cops when dealing with the lives of black people. The pattern of inappropriate and inhumane behavior was glaring in the Gregory Davis incident a few years back, which resulted in his death. Again, it was demonstrated in the death of Daniel Prude. Mike Mazzio, head of the police union, whitewashed the event and did not, in his press conference, condemn negative police behavior. For example, the officers were out there on the porch in the community, but they did not wear masks when engaging the family members on the porch. Also, the police engaged in uncivil behavior by screaming and yelling at the child, initially. Here we have the same perverse and inappropriate action and pattern which needs correction. Community groups are currently engaged in working on the governor's Executive Order 203. And this incident from last Friday highlights the urgency of the need to press forward regarding reimagining and reinventing the police and public safety. The community's image of the police is always based on their interactions with the community. In this incident, the cops involved exacerbated the public's mistrust, fear, and suspicion of the police, which is well-founded. Many officers responded to the call, but yet we only have body footage from 2 of the officers involved. So where is the other body footage? and we issue a call to have that body footage released. UCLM, PAB, and RAISE have submitted proposals for police reform as mandated by the governor. So UCLM is calling for the Rochester Police Department to review and reevaluate all policies and procedures involving minors. Minors should not be handcuffed. That must be banned. Children must not be chemically sprayed. That too must be banned. No one should be disrespected by discourteous police officers. It only escalates a situation. Comprehensive mental health intervention must be made available for crisis situations now. And we call upon the officers involved to be immediately suspended without pay and to be thoroughly investigated. Questions?
As it stands now, the Rochester Police Department is not able to call the PIC team when a call in the middle of a call.
Yes.
What would you say to that policy? This is the pilot phase of PIC. In the pilot phase, there is no co-response at this point.
Right.
Like Daniel Amantora said yesterday. What would you say to that right now? Would you have them review that pilot and say you have to have a response?
Here's what I would say, Patty. I would say it is of the utmost urgency that you implement this pilot program right away. We can't wait on another incident to take place. If not, then use some alternatives. The alternatives being you have clergy on patrol. Use some of those people right now, all right, to intervene in a situation which bears counseling, and which counseling is of the utmost necessity in intervention, all right? But we call upon the mayor and all those involved to straighten out the lines of duties relative to RPD and PIC, straighten it out now because we can't afford to wait on it.
So you're saying that there should be a co-response to
Yes.
that? They should be able to call each other
Yes.
and not wait through a pilot phase
Right.
to work that out.
Do it now.
Okay. My other question is, from what the PAB said the other night, Wilmer Hale has said that they don't believe that all RPD officers should get crisis intervention training.
Right.
That's what they said. How do you feel about that? Should all RPD officers have crisis intervention training?
Well, here's the thing. Wilmer Hale said that all should not have crisis intervention training, and therefore we should rely upon those who are best suited for that training to have that training and do the intervention. And I'm of the mind that that's what should happen because of the fact that RPD officers, cops, should not be responding to mental health stressful situations because they're not trained for it. And they only end up making matters worse as we see what took place on Friday.
Maybe I wasn't clear. Some RPD officers have crisis intervention training.
Yes, some do.
So I guess what some law enforcement in the county wants to see is all road patrol law enforcement have crisis intervention training. So they don't have to call a colleague to come to that. Do you think that all law enforcement should have crisis intervention training?
I think, well, I see what you're
to
saying. I see what you're saying. And let me be clear. The fact is, number one, I think all officers should have a modicum of training relative to mental health. But they should not be the first line responders. The first line responders should be those persons in a stressful situation who are not police officers, but will intervene in the situation and handle it appropriately. I just cannot trust the police to handle a situation because it will get out of control and it will be escalated just like it did on Friday. You see, the issue is cops are not trained to be servant protectors. They're not trained for mental health interventions. What they are trained for is a warrior culture. And you cannot mesh a warrior culture with talking people down and getting them the help that they need.
Reverend Stewart, how do you feel about the speed in which the city responded, put out that body cam video? I know it's redacted, but compared to other recent events, this was fairly quick. Are you satisfied with how quick?
I'm satisfied with how quick the city did respond, because of the fact that the city knew that it had to be transparent in all things, and especially in this situation, as well as the police. But I'm looking for the city to put forth unredacted body camera footage from the other police who were there on the scene.
The claim from the mayor yesterday was that it was redacted to protect the identity,
the identity of the child. Yes, I understand that.
Are you also saying you can still do that, but
You can still do that, but release more of the footage so we can see the incident leading up to that. Because originally, the incident leading up to it was a call from the mother stating that the car was stolen. All right, and then it turned into something else.
With the police chief acknowledging that this was pretty much wrong,
Yes.
does this give you hope? She said that right away. Does this give you hope that this will be?
Well, it gives hope that it's a step towards transparency. Now, whether or not it's going to lead towards total transparency is what we have to keep on pushing for. It's in our best interest to do so.
What would you like to see happen with the officers in this incident?
Well, I would like to see the officers thoroughly investigated, and while they're being investigated, I would like to see them suspended from their jobs without pay, because they handled it inappropriately. They handled it wrong.
And Reverend Stewart, we're talking about police reform. There's been a lot of talk about it, and a lot of it's ideas, but not a lot of people are coming together with concrete solutions. What would you like to see?
Well, we have concrete solutions. We've been working on concrete solutions for about over a year now, and we have them. The first thing, well, UCL, and also the PAD has concrete proposals. So they're just not ideas. And Wilmer Hale came up with 4 or 5 concrete recommendations. So we have them. Now we had a retreat this past Friday from 10 o'clock to about 3:30 in the afternoon, culling through the language and culling through these proposals and trying to harmonize them in categories. We have another meeting today at 5 o'clock, which is going to be several hours long, dealing with these same proposals. So let me give you an overview of UCL's proposals. One is a Citizens Public Safety Interview Committee, a panel. That means that you'll have 3 to 4 citizens or a pool of citizens, right? Trained, have gone to the police academy to learn what it is that cops do, but at the same time learning interviewing techniques and what to ask for. Now, candidates for the police academy or for the police force, before they are hired, will have to be interviewed by this panel and then give the affirmation of whether they will be hired or not. This is true community policing. That is a specific recommendation, a specific proposal, and it looks like it's going to go.
Reverend, it seems that the retreat Friday and the retreat coming up this afternoon aren't really public.
No, they're not public at all.
How do you feel about that? You've called for transparency quite a bit. Do you think that the Friday and today should be able to be viewed by the public?
No, I don't think you want to do that, Patty, because it'll give you a headache. I'm serious. If you're going through pages upon pages upon pages, word for word, line for line, of recommendations and things of that sort, I think what we need to do and what we're looking at is once we cull through all of that and harmonize the different proposals under certain basic general categories, like one, for example, de-escalation. Another would be racial justice and education training. Another would be use of force, etc. Then we're going to invite the public in relative to community meetings and then put it to them about what they would want to see based upon these recommendations.
Right, but it's already going to be edited for them. I mean, C-SPAN shows Congress in all its slowness. I mean, it's just a call for transparency.
Yes.
Everything should be out in the open. Why not just have this a camera in the room, citizens can watch it or not, fall asleep or not, you know, shout at the screen or not.
Like I nearly did, right?
But
Okay.
But if you want transparency, don't you have to be transparent with the entire process and not just give citizens an edited view at the end where they come in where they really don't have a say in anything?
Well, they will have a say. They will have a say in terms of the recommendations. They will have a say in it because it's the citizens who are really going to give this a go or a nay, ultimately. But right now, in terms of the minds that are involved in writing these proposals, we need to hear from the authors of these proposals and recommendations first, then open up to the public because there will be community hearings on these recommendations. And that's where the transparency comes
But I
in.
guess my point is people should be able to see, there's an expression, see how the sausage gets made. They should be able to, and I've heard that from people saying that. Why can't the public watch these processes?
Well, they could watch it, but that would be up to the mayor and others, and I'll bring that up today. Thank you. Anyone else? So remember, let me reemphasize, ban the handcuffing of children. Ban the chemical spraying of children. Let's get PIC going. Let's get it started up right away. No more waiting on a pilot program. Let's implement what we need to be implementing because we don't know, knowing Rochester, there are going to be some other problems. And so we need to be on top of this as quickly as possible. And then finally, we need to be able to suspend these officers without pay, and then the release of all the body-worn camera footage that was taken that day. Thank you very much.